Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a flight in just a couple of hours from now. They actually called me yesterday, I think it was, and they let me know about my flight. So I got a little bit of a head start, and I knew exactly what time I had to show up today to work, and what time I have to be there and where I'm going. Today, however, I would like to talk to you guys about what it means to be a reserve flight attendant. Now, by the way, I have my notes right here, so if you see me looking down from time to time, that's what I'm referring to my notes, okay? I'm just talking to you nice and normal. However, I do have a lot of pointers that I want to get to, and I want to make sure that I don't forget about that. So, what is a reserve flight attendant? A reserve flight attendant is a person that works for the airline. However, you don't actually have any lines yet, which means that you don't have any flights on your schedule. Now, every month when you bid for your schedule, if you're a reserve, you pretty much you're not getting any flights. That's basically what it means. And there's two kinds of reserve flight attendants. There is the flight attendant on reserve, ready at the airport. You know that you have to be there. You know the time you have to be there, in full uniform with all your equipment and everything. You just don't know where you're going. More than likely, you will sit in a crew room and you will wait, and if they need you, they'll call you and send you wherever. If not, they will send you home after a certain amount of time. And then there's the reserve flight attendant, which I am. I only sit reserve at home, which means that I can lounge around all day in my pajamas. And as long as I am at the airport within an hour and a half that when I receive the phone call, then I am good to go. So, those are the two types of flight attendants that I am aware of. Some airlines give you more time than others. Mine gives you an hour and a half to get to the airport. Others, I've heard, can give you up to 3 hours to get to the airport. So depending on where you work, that's what it is. Now, depending on the airline that you get hired at, you could be a reserve flight attendant for years. It could take years, or it could be as little as a few months. It just depends on the company needs. So in my company, I will probably have a line or a mixture of a line, probably within a year. I have heard of some airlines that you're on reserve for like years and years and years. And what that means is that you pretty much are at the mercy of your airline, and you really don't know where you're going or how long you're going to be gone, especially if you work for an airline, for a bigger airline. With mine, luckily, mine are turns, so I can do, a couple of flights a day. I can do up to 6 flights a day. But ultimately, if everything goes according to plan, I will be coming home. Keep that in mind when you're researching other airlines. They will usually put all that information in the job description. So make sure you read that. Because, like I said, if you have a family or kids or, whatever your reasons may be, if you want to be home, you may want to steer clear from one of the bigger airlines, one of the legacy airlines. Although if you are a free spirit and you want to travel and stay in hotels all the time and you don't really care about being home, then, by all means, try to get a job with a bigger airline. They do pay a little bit more. And plus they have better benefits. Okay, now, Having said that, a lot of airlines have the reserves in case there is an emergency. So when someone calls out or someone doesn't show up, or they're like a no call no show, they call in sick, they're late, whatever the case may be, they need those reserve flight attendants to be there ready to help board, because as you will find out if you get the chance to go through and get hired and go through training, you will find out that per federal regulations, they need a certain amount of flight attendants working the flight, depending on the amount of seats on the plane. So it is one flight attendant per 50 seats. So it goes by seats and it doesn't go by customers. So just because you have an airplane with, let's say, 200 seats, that would require 4 flight attendants. However, if there's only, let's say, 40 people on the plane, that doesn't mean that you can do your job with just one flight attendant. You still need all 4 flight attendants, because those are just the federal regulations. That's the way it goes. I don't know if it's just the same for all the airlines or not, but as far as my airline is concerned, we have to have all flight attendants on board in order to start boarding all the passengers. So if there is someone missing, obviously that's going to delay the flight, that's going to delay all those customers, and that's not good for business. So and if you think about it that way, reserve flight attendants are a crucial part of any airline. And being on ready reserve at the airport, it's even better for the airline, because then, like, for example, my airline, if someone doesn't show up and they can't get somebody, that's already at the airport just by some chance or whatever, they would have to wait an hour and a half for whatever flight attendant they call to get there. So, that flight is going to take an hour and a half delay at least. So having flight attendants ready at the airport in uniform, I think it's one of the best things that the airlines have, to help them, because you never know when someone is running late or traffic or whatever the case may be. So sometimes the reserve flight attendant will just help board, waiting to see if the other person will actually show up, if they're running late or whatever the case may be. But so having said that, when you're a reserve flight attendant, it depends. You may not be working a lot of hours. All the companies guarantee a certain amount of hours. So I don't want to talk dollars and pennies as far as like my particular airline. So I'm just going to give you a general rule. Most airlines guarantee a certain amount of hours that they will pay you whether or not you fly that month. So let's just take a round even number. Let's say you are making $25 an hour and the company guarantees you 80 hours a month. And let's say you didn't work over 80 hours that month. Your check would be $2,000, and so then you have to subtract your, if you have any insurance, 401k, if you have taxes, all that good stuff. So that's $2,000. Most airlines pay twice a month. They pay on the 15th and also on the 30th. And so if you take that minus all the deductions that you're going to have, you're not looking at very much. And that's why I think a lot of people have a misconception about the fact that, oh yeah, well, you are making a good amount of money, let's say $25 an hour, for example. However, if you don't work more than the allotted hours that your company guarantees you, and for this example, it was 80 hours, that's all you're making. So, and I can make a more in-depth video as far as like how flight attendants get paid. so you guys have a better understanding. If you do want to see that, comment down below and let me know. Okay, so having said that, you're not making a lot of money, and that's why a lot of people get crash pads. Because for a crash pad, you only have to pay, $200-300 a month, and that's something very affordable. So, then you also have to think about, okay, so what if I have my apartment? Is it really worth it to pay for, just for myself, my own apartment, $700-800 in rent when you're not really going to be here? So that's one of the negative things. And then if you have a car payment or cell phones or bills, credit cards, whatever you may have, think about all those things, and that's one of the reasons why I think there's such a high turnover in the first year of people, that join the airline, is because, well, yeah, I mean, you hear the number $25 an hour sounds awesome. I mean, who wouldn't want $25 an hour? That's spectacular. However, when you break it down and you take into account that, it's only 80 hours guarantee, and you have to pay rent and your car and food and all the other expenses that you may have, and then, you can start doing the math yourself and see that the amount that you get is really barely livable. Now, that's something to think about. As you're going through and you're applying, make sure that you have a nice security behind you before you go to training. A lot of companies do not pay for training. So you would want to make sure that you have some money behind you and saved, so that while you're in training, you're not getting paid, and obviously you're not working. You want to have some money also to relocate to wherever your company may send you. So keep that in mind, guys. Also, another bad thing about being a reserve flight attendant is that because you don't know where you're going, a lot of times you don't know how much food to take with you. Now, a lot of the flight attendants have that e-bag that's really, really huge, and it's a great bag. It can fit a lot of stuff in there. And so, that is a great option. However, when you're flying, you don't know, are you going to be gone for 2-3 days, 5 days, 6 days? You don't know. So how much do you pack? And so you're going to then find the problems of like, okay, so now when you're out of town, you may run out of food. You may, your coworkers may want to go out, and you don't want to feel left out. So you'll be spending some money there. Or you'll get bored of what you have and you'll simply want to, eat out. So that's another thing that you need to think about is, when you are traveling and you are staying away from home all the time, yeah, you're staying in a nice hotel and you have great views and blah, blah, blah. However, you do tend to spend a little bit more money when you are on the road. So these are some of the cons of being a reserve flight attendant. Let's see. Also, another thing that you may not have thought about is a con of being a reserve flight attendant is, since you don't know where you're going, what do you pack? If they call you and you're at home, they might tell you right then and there, hey, you're going to go such and such place. And so you'll know, and you can quickly pack something according to the weather conditions of where you're heading to. But if you're at the airport and you really have no idea where they're going to send you, you could go to a cold climate, you could go to a warm climate. So what I suggest in that, if that is the case, is that you have a suitcase that has a lot of pieces that are all monochromatic, and also you can layer in case, you know, if it's nice and warm, you can take off some clothes. If it's colder, you can put on the layers of sweaters and jackets and whatever. So that's another con of being a reserve flight attendant, is not knowing what to pack. So I suggest, like I said, monochromatic. Buy a lot of things that are all similar, like let's say black and gray and white, and all those colors go together. And that should make, you know, packing a little bit easier for you. And last but not least, I know this video is already 15 minutes long. It's when you're a reserve flight attendant and you're flying from place to place to place. Like I said, you never know how long you're going to be gone. And if you're okay with that, it's great. However, a lot of people get homesick. You know, they want to see their kids, their husbands or wives. They want to be home. They don't like sleeping in hotel rooms or feel uncomfortable or, you know, whatever. So keep that in mind as well as you're going through and looking at the different companies that are out there. There's always airlines that are hiring. So guys, if it's been your dream to be a flight attendant, I say go for it. I do have to say that before coming here, I did take a massive pay cut. I was a retail manager here in Las Vegas, and I was making a whole lot more money. However, I used to be a flight attendant about 13 years ago, and I did a lot of international traveling, and I was gone away from home all the time, but I absolutely loved it. And sometimes you just got to go for your dreams. You got to go for what it is that you know it's going to make you happy no matter what. You know, you can always work out any problems that you may come across. So I hope this has helped you guys a little bit about what it means to be a real flight attendant, a real reserve flight attendant. Comment down below if you have any similar stories, or if you have any other suggestions about what you'd like to see. I am going to start doing a series of like flight attendant 101 stuff that, you know, people are always, flight attendants on YouTube are always posting about their flights and their stays, and, you know, that's all good and dandy, but, you know, I would like to put out the negative stuff that sometimes people don't talk about. So stay tuned for those, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who have subscribed recently, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate it, and I can't wait to see my channel continue to grow and grow and grow, and who knows where this is going to go. So again, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day, and safe flying. Bye-bye.